Welcome to another edition of Value My Vote One-on-One with the candidates. I'm Hassan Giordano, your host, and we're joined today by a candidate for the 9th District of City Council in Baltimore City, Miss Quianna Cooke. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm just right. Thank you for joining us. We want to just give this time to give the intro to you, to the voters, to see who you are and why you're running for city council in the 9th District. Just to give a little background, you are a former teacher for over 25 years.
Yes.
Former assistant principal and principal in Lamel, Harlem Park, and Calverton.
Yes.
Correct? And so education, obviously, we'll deal with that in this interview. So I'm sure you have some strong points on that. The 9th District is primarily West Baltimore. Agnes Welch was the former councilwoman who just recently retired. Right. Her son, Pete Welch, is taking over. Why are you running this year for city council in the 9th District?
Well, after living in the city my entire life, not just moving in recently, I grew up in this neighborhood. I was in Councilmedic 4, and then they changed it to 9. So I've been in this community, in this neighborhood of neighbors who are friends my entire life. I've gone from watching a blooming, wonderful neighborhood to seeing those who could have made a difference allow it to decay. Mm-hmm. I see the vacant housing. I see the young men with nothing to do that stand on corners. And I thought that I could make a difference because I believe that's what we have to do. The people who live here have to make a difference. It becomes a part of what we're supposed to do. So I sat down, I spoke with Agnes Welch. I spoke with some people in the community and my family and a former student, and made the decision that this was something that I could do because I have a passion for the city and I love my district. So I made the decision to run, sat down and thought about what kind of things would I want to make a difference in and how I could improve the city.
Now, you obviously have made an impact on your students. Like you said, your campaign manager was a former student of yours.
Yes, he is. Very proud of that.
In education, you've obviously been an advocate of such, being wonderful, and we want to applaud you for your service. Teachers obviously are underpaid, and undeserving sometimes. And so what the education system that you see in Baltimore now, do you agree with it? Baltimore, time and time again, is always on the lower plank in the state of Maryland. What would you do as a councilwoman to try to change that?
Well, I think that we always look at what we need to do when it comes to funding. I think that Baltimore is starting to get funding so that we're at least at an equal scale with other counties. But we need to look at the dedication, the commitment of the teachers and where we're going to get teachers. Children in Baltimore City are very special. They need to know that you are committed because children know when you're not. Mm-hmm. Therefore, one of the things I looked for was teachers who were committed, knowledgeable, that they had credentials, and that they had a desire to move children forward. So I think that along with making sure that we have funding, we make sure that we have committed teachers and committed administrators who are willing to go in and see when there are problems, identify problems, work with teachers to see if they can correct the problems, and if not, correctly move them out and not blame unions for saving bad teachers, because they don't do that. What they do is give them due process. And as an administrator, it's your job to do your job. And it's not a mammoth job to remove a teacher, but it is work on your part. So I think that when it comes to education and making sure that you have qualified teachers who are actually working to do a good job with your children. Funding, of course, we want to keep that because there's new technology. A young teacher came to me and it showed me what a smart board was. I had no idea what that was. But I saw that it made a difference in a teacher's classroom. One that was on what we call an improvement plan. Performance improvement plan, and we added some technology in his room. It turned him around. It turned his teaching style around, and he was able to move off of that. So actually, making sure that Baltimore City gets qualified, certified teachers.
After the school day is done, the city, due to lack of resources and finances, have chose to take the rec centers and stuff and try to get nonprofits to take it over.
Right.
Do you agree with that? And how do we revamp the rec centers and the PAL centers that are in the community? Especially, what would you do in the 9th District?
I think that you have to look at the population that you're dealing with. Years ago, when there was no pay for after school, teachers were charged to come up with ideas of things they wanted to do. I would love to see rec centers open because there are too many children outside, just idly outside. But involving, I've worked with nonprofit, that might work. I think that raising taxes is not going to do it because as a person nearing retirement, I don't want to see property taxes going up when I'm getting ready to make less money and everything's going to start costing me more. Prescriptions are going to cost me more than they cost me now when I make more money. So I don't want to see property taxes go up. But to look at nonprofits and grants to try to keep rec centers open, I think that's an option. I would have to research some things that we could do because I don't like to step out with things that I don't know. But I think that we need to look at nonprofits. We've had them in our schools. I think that that works. I also think that when you look at after-school programs, for over 20 years, and even as an administrator, I ran an after-school program. When people said, there's no way you can do that, Ms. Cooke, but I ran an after-school program. So involving teachers in their commitment, not to force them to do it, but when you're involved with kids, how can you help it?
Absolutely. Now, in the 9th District, you have some interesting dynamics. You have the 9th is one of the lowest, if not the lowest turnout in terms of voting in the city. And it is also has almost probably the most of the 46,000 abandoned housing. I think the 9th District has the most, or if not close to the most, in the city. How would you go about trying to fix the abandoned housing, and how would you go about, even as a candidate, and then if you are elected, to try to lift the spirits of the 9th District to come out and actually not only just register, but to come out and participate in the process?
Well, one of the things we realize that you have to move and you have to come see me. I have not seen someone knock on my door to say, hi, I'm running, in years. So I think that you have to get out and you have to instill some pride in the people. I work with the kids in this community, so I see them. I'm not afraid to step out and to talk to the kids on the corner. When I see the bandanas on, I say, oh, you know, you look much better. You're so handsome. Why do you have that on your head? They stop and they talk. So I think that we have to get out and get involved with this community and not just be a candidate who has an office. As an administrator, the last thing I saw was my office. I saw that maybe at 3:30. If it was an after-school program, I might not have gotten back into the office until 5 o'clock. So it's getting out, meeting that community, looking at the problems that are in the community and see how you can fix those problems, talking to the people. Sometimes, even with children, they say, you never asked me. You never asked me anything about what I wanted. So ask the community, get involved, get the organizations active. When I looked at organizations for the 9th District, I couldn't find many that had a website. As simple a thing as that. So we need to get involved in those kind of things in order to reach the people. When it comes to the abandoned houses, I want to know how in the city with the taxes like it is, did they just allow that? How did you allow absentee landlords? How do you allow property to look so bad? Don't increase my taxes. How about increasing theirs because they have an abandoned house? And maybe we have to send someone in to clean it, because if I live next to one, I'm going to keep mine up. What are you going to do about theirs?
Speaking of websites, 30 seconds, give the voters out there watching this a way to contact you, your website, your phone number, and give them a pitch of why they should vote for you on September 13th.
Okay, let me say this. I have a idea that we can rebuild. They call it rebuilding, refurbishing this community. I think that we can do that, and that will involve looking at crime in this district, looking at health care in this district, looking at education in this district. So I know that those are things that we have to look at. Educating the children in this district, that is so important, because without education, how are we going to make the city better? That's why kids are on the corner. That's why you see a 19-year-old man standing on the corner with no job, because without a job, he has nowhere to go. Without education, he can't get a job. So when you tie all of those things in together and you bring education system that's going to deal with that gentleman who's 19 and on the corner, you're going to bring job awareness into this neighborhood. I was a vocational ed teacher. I had two trades. I could teach, or I could get in my sewing machine and I could sew. So if times were hard and to get through school, I could sew. We don't seem to value vocational ed anymore. I think that there are no more people in my field in the system. I was a home economics teacher that they changed it to family and consumer science. And I think we were faded out because of money. Not because we didn't teach the children how to use the education they were getting, but because of the money. So as a candidate, I'm going to look at education. I'm going to see how we can improve education, how we can provide after-school programs, hopefully get recreation centers back, find funding. It may not be with my tax dollars, because no, I don't want to increase my property taxes. I pay pretty good taxes, but I do know it has to be funded, so it has to be funded some way. So you have to have someone out here looking for, how do you get funding? Right now I'm working with Combined Charities. That's what we do. We get funding. They told us that the amount of money we raised last year was unheard of. To make a $80,000 jump was unheard of, but it was because dedication said go out and do it. And so I walked and I spoke. And I did professional development so that people were willing to give. So I think that when you have in your mind that you're going to rebuild your neighborhood, that you're going to have that rebirth, and then you're going to educate and make sure that the people in your community can work and that we can do something with these children, all that ties together. So I think when you find a candidate who's dedicated to doing that, you'll find somebody who can make a difference.
Well, Ms. Cooke, I want to thank you for your candidacy and your time with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Not a problem, and we'll be right back with more Value My Vote.